This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video March 27th.
Today on CityCast Madison. Are you feeling lucky? St. Paddy's Day is next week, and to get into that spirit, we're going four-leaf clover hunting. But here's the big secret. It's actually less luck than you think. That's according to Fitchburg alder and multi-Guinness World Record holder Gabriella Gerhardt. She knows it's a skill. To keep those skills sharp, we're bringing back our conversation with Gabriella on her secrets to finding these lucky charms. It's Wednesday, March 12th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Gabriella, hello.
Hello.
So excited to see you this morning.
It's so nice to join you. I really appreciate it.
So how did you get into this?
I first spotted a four-leaf clover with my senior year of college. When I was walking back from class, I went to Tulane University in New Orleans.
Whoop-whoop.
And
sorry.
Yeah.
I did not go. I'm just a huge New Orleans fan.
Oh, good. Yes. New Orleans is a beautiful place. So yeah, I just spotted it walking back from class, and I was like, oh, that's fun. I took a blurry photo of it. So, flip phone photo that I still have. And I don't even know if I kept that one. And I did it a few more times, and then I saw the little clover field next to my friend's house. And so I went out there one day just to intentionally look for clovers, and I found a 5-leaf and a 6-leaf, and I kind of got addicted. And then when I moved to Wisconsin, a year later, I found my first couple 7-leaf clovers, and I just loved the magic. I think the magic of finding some of the really wild mutations is what kept me going at first. And then in 2013, I kind of went through a hard time, and I really enjoyed the clover walks. It was super relaxing and kind of got me back to feeling good. And it became a meditation for me. And in order to spot the clovers, you have to clear your mind. So it's a real beautiful feeling, and sort of snowballed. And then I hit my peak year in 2020, which was 31,000 in 1 year.
Gosh.
So
31,000 in 1 year. That is amazing. I also love that you first said that it was kind of a meandering path, because I would think, spending time meandering and finding things. And you also mentioned something right off the bat, that they're a mutation.
Yes, they're a mutation of a very common plant called white clover, Trifolium repens. It's very common in grass mixes and in parks. So you'll see the little white flowers in the spring.
Right. And they're like sweet.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And the bees love them. So very common. They also fix nitrogen in the soil, which is what grass depletes. So they kind of are a perfect complement to grass. I like to tell people that so that they don't kill their clover with weed killer, which breaks my heart. And yeah, they're beautiful. And people are starting to plant their lawns with clover. It's a thing that's happening now to make a more sustainable grass, and so that makes my heart very happy.
Yeah. And you said that you got addicted, and so you're hooked, and you have earned Guinness World Records. How does that happen? How does one earn a Guinness World Record?
Yeah, it is a process, and it is not always the most pleasant process. First, in 2013, I started finding hundreds per year. And so I looked up what the world record was for the largest collection of four-leaf clovers, because I was just curious. I was like, oh, it couldn't be more than a couple thousand. And then I saw it was 111,060, which I thought was absolutely outrageous. I just had no idea. I think I responded exactly like people respond now. How you're feeling about this collection is how I felt back in 2013.
It's like, how did this happen?
Yeah, I was like, this is impossible. So I was like, oh, I'll just work on that for, a couple decades, and I'll eventually hit it over time. And then, but I looked on their website. You can sign into their website and you can search, and it has all the records that they have. So the most four-leaf clovers collected in 8 hours, and the most four-leaf clovers collected in 1 hour had not been set. And so I said, oh, okay, well, I can do that. So I first attempted one of them in 2018. I did the most 4-leaf clovers collected in 8 hours. And I had to spend months in the previous year and months in the leading up to it, scouting out the patches that I could hit in sequence and get the most clovers possible. And so I did 887 that day.
887 in one day in 8 hours.
Yes, in 8 hours. And I broke my stretch goal of 800. And then over the next couple of years, I got way better. And I, at the end of 2019, I did the 1 hour record. And I collected 451 in 1 hour, which is actually more than half of the 8 hour record.
That's insane.
It's skyrocketed.
Can I follow?
I
just want to follow you around.
Yeah. Honestly, you're local, so if you want to come May, June, please feel free. I'm happy to take you out in a clover hunt.
Thrilled, and yeah, because you did these here locally in the Madison area, right?
When I lived in Madison, most of my clovers came from Madison, and then I moved to Fitchburg in 2015. And so now your clovers kind of come from where you live. So I collect almost all in Fitchburg.
Okay.
Yeah, we're very proud that it's here in Fitchburg. Fitchburgians are quite proud of their city.
I mean, I'm proud of you. My goodness gracious. Like, I've found one or two in my life, and I'm still glowing from it. I'm still the magic is with me.
It really is magic, right? I mean,
yeah.
it never gets old. I adore it. And now I get that more when I find the really wild mutations. I found up to a 10-leaf clover.
Stop.
I found 2 10-leaf clovers.
Stop. 10?
Yes. Yes.
What?
Yeah. I found all the way. So the mutations go, you can actually get less than 3 leaves. So there's 2 and 1. I actually love 1-leaf clovers a lot, even though they aren't as impressive. But and then they go up. And I actually keep really detailed statistics. So I know exactly how many clovers I collected, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus on each day I go out. And I actually track patches. I take notes on the individual patches and how many clovers it's producing at what time of year. And so I know exactly how many I've collected. And what's interesting is that there's something specific about the mutations in the plant because each leaf count you go up, it's 1 order of magnitude more rare. So that means that out of all the clovers that I find, 10% are 5-leaf, 1% are 6-leaf, 0.1% are 7-leaf, and kind of 0.01% are more than 7-leaf. So it's really consistent. You'll see on a logarithmic graph, it's a straight line. And it's really fascinating. I love that data aspect. That's probably what's kept me going high quantities because you get that interesting data. And also...
You're a math whiz.
Yes. Yeah. If you collect a lot, you'll find a 7-leaf, 8-leaf. You'll find them eventually, statistically speaking.
Oh my gosh. And you found those in Fitchburg?
Yes.
I have a note here that I think the most leaves ever clocked on a clover stem is 56 in Japan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I read a little bit about him. He cultivated clovers for a year. He had some sort of expertise in plants. And he cultivated clovers in his backyard, and he crossbred them until he got the wild clovers.
I think that would be a cheat.
People say it's cheating, but I actually kind of respect it because it's so much work, and it's like a piece of natural artwork to find something. The 10-leaf clover is just, it's so beautiful, and it's so rare, and that type of, it does feel like a piece of rare artwork or something.
So... I just can't help but picture. I'm just picturing Zelda. I'm picturing you going along, like finding the patches. I wanted to ask. So you hold the world record for the largest collection of 4-leaf clovers at 118,000, which several teams of independent witnesses confirmed for you at the Fitchburg Library. So back of the envelope math here. To do that, you would need to collect 25 4-leaf clovers per day. Every single day for 13 years straight. So how many 4-leaf clovers have you found during this interview?
I wish we got all that snow, so it's a longer time. We had that snow last night, so we're not going to see any clover for a little while. I've actually collected 2 this year when it's gotten warm.
Okay.
But yeah, the per day is the crazy thing. So in May and June, that's the peak. That's when you get the good rain, the clovers are lush. Usually for the last few years, I average 400 to 500 per day.
Wow.
when I'm out collecting. So it's at that scale. And I go out almost every single day.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for the support, resources, and network to take your business to the next level? Or maybe you're interested in becoming an investor, ready to make a real impact. At Doyen, they're breaking barriers and changing the game for entrepreneurs of startup ventures. Through their triple threat venture training, investor accelerator, coaching services, and learning lab, they provide the tools, mentorship, and funding to help businesses grow and succeed. Their mission? To create a more inclusive, equitable entrepreneurial ecosystem where diverse founders thrive. Join them at their next event, connect with their community, or support their work by becoming a mentor, partner, or donor. Visit doyengroup.org to learn more. It's time to build something amazing together.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
I mean, how are you doing it? What's the secret? Like, do you have certain strategies or techniques? I heard a little bit, you're finding patches, have a memory escape.
Yeah, so it's interesting because a lot of people have the Clover hobby. A lot of people have an eye for it. And there's people, I find them all on Instagram. They're all over the world. They collect clovers. So a lot of people do this and they enjoy it. But the reason I think why I've gotten so high numbers is because I've become very systematic about it. And that was because I did that first record and I had to travel. I had to get as many clovers as I could in a short period of time. So I had to scout 4-leaf clover patches all over the area because you can only get so many in a patch. Patches regrow every week or two. So I guess I will say that patches of clover is one plant. That's a thing that people don't always know. So a white clover plant, if you see a patch, a little circle in the grass, that's one plant. Well, so you can find one off 4-leaf clover. So just see one 4-leaf clover in a plant. That happens. But what I'm looking for is the mutated patches where the 4-leaf clover is actually in the genetic code. And so you'll get dozens, sometimes hundreds, up to hundreds of 4-leaf clovers in one patch. The most I've ever found is I have one patch that's probably the size of about 2 hula hoops. It's a big one. And I found over 1,000 in that one patch on
How
one
was
day.
that day for you?
It was a good one. And then it was a good day. And then my back and my knees were really feeling it when I got home because I'm now in my mid-30s and it's not the same as when I was in my 20s.
The squats are a little harder.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you find those mutated patches and then you revisit them. So you'll hear this from clover hunters elsewhere. They find their mutated patch. But most people kind of stick to what they know. They'll go back to their patches that they know. But I spend probably quarter of my time going to new places constantly and scouting out new patches, which can be frustrating and can be kind of boring at times. But then I kind of build up this Rolodex. So now I have over 100 locations in the area that were hotspots at one point. Some of them no longer produce clovers, although I do go back sometimes and check.
Can you give us just one little gift?
Yeah.
That you don't feel bad sharing?
One place that used to be really good was James Madison Park.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Go on. I want to know more because I'm like, I had a feeling because I've looked for them there.
I will give one. I feel like I almost don't want to say this. So There's one place in particular. I haven't been there in a while, but it's right by that boathouse.
Oh, yeah. At James Madison.
That's there. Yeah, at James Madison Park. And that was the place I found my first 2 7-leaf clovers ever.
Wow. I always knew it was magical.
Yeah. And then years later, I found a 9-leaf clover. My first 9-leaf clover was in that area too. That being said, I haven't been there in years and it had faded a little bit, but patches can come back. So that's a decent place to go.
I feel like if you're not like a collector, like people are probably, I don't know, maybe it's just me, would just be looking for a 4.
Yes.
They're probably just going to look for the 4. So we'll just leave Gabriella all the other ones.
it's every once in a while I'll get people that say, "Oh my gosh, you're killing all these plants," in a really dramatic way. And it's like, well, these plants get mowed every week or two. They're gonna die in a couple of weeks. So if you find one, do not leave it. You should take it.
Okay, full force, y'all.
Yeah, don't leave it behind. But yeah, I guess that I went all over the place. But I guess the reason I've gotten good at it is in part because I visit a lot of places and I spend a lot of time, and I'll go back to these places consistently over the year. I'll find new places, and I've gotten better at it. Most people have an eye for it, but you can develop that skill over time. The key way you get better at it is actually you have to be in kind of a meditative state in order to see the clovers. So most people, when they're looking for a four-leaf clover, what makes it so challenging is that a patch of clovers can have, a small patch of clovers might be 20,000, 25,000
wow.
individual. I know that sounds crazy, but that's actually true. Like there's so many in a little.
Right, because they're small and.
Exactly. So what people do is they'll look at each individual clover, and that's impossible. That would be really lucky. Yeah, it's hard. And so what you want to do is I actually recommend that people stand up. So you have to find a place that has white clover. And so a lot of parks around here will have it. You see those little white flowers. So find a place that has white clover. If you can find a place where the clovers are a little bigger, if they're small and they're in the grass, you're really making it really hard on yourself. So try to find a different place. And if you can find places where the patches are distinct, that's not always possible. But if you find like individual patches, that's even better. But you find some places to go. A lot of clover is better. And you stand up and you want to let your eyes sort of lazily scan over the area, and you walk around, you move. Because you're trying to find the easiest to find clover. You're not trying to find the one that's in this one spot. You're just trying to find the easiest one to find in the area. So keep moving, let your eyes scan. And if you can truly sort of clear your mind and let your eyes just see the whole picture, our brains are naturally good at picking out patterns. So it'll pop out at you. And that's what makes it feel magical, right? It's like this, your brain just suddenly makes this connection and it pops out at you. And that's part of what makes it so fun. So anyone can do it. Getting into that state of mind, just the reason why my meditation takes, people years and years to master. I feel like over time I've gotten to where I can get to this clover hunting mindset, this meditation mindset immediately. And I love that feeling. So I can spot them really easily. I can spot ones that most people wouldn't see, even though most people can. Everyone can find a four-leaf clover. 100%, I promise you, everyone can find one. If you haven't found one yet, you just haven't found the right spot to try it. And you can do it. But the hard part is to let your eyes scan. So if you're, distract yourself with music, with a podcast, things like that will help kind of keep you from looking at each individual clover.
I am trying not to lose my mind because I'm geeking out so hard.
I have one other pro tip. This is important. So if you find those individual patches where you can see the edges, scan the edges of the patch first before you look in the center. And there's two reasons for that. One is it's easier to see the contrast between the grass and the clovers, or sometimes the dirt and the clovers. And also mutations tend to cluster on the edges of the patch. So if you see an individual patch, that's the best case scenario. Scan the edges first before you look in, but look in the center too.
Are you always on the prowl when you're walking? Like, are your peripherals just like...
I sometimes try, if I'm out on a walk with my husband, I'm trying not to almost. I'm like, don't look, because it is my brain is so keyed in that I will spot them even when I'm not trying and when I'm moving quite fast. So yeah, I try to find places to take walks that are away from clover, which is actually not that easy to do. But my husband knows that if we're out in a park, it's inevitable.
Are there any other great spots, just you'd throw out general areas for folks or where they should be looking?
I think parks are the best place for it. And not all parks have a lot of clover. If it's like a, baseball field, they'll kill the weeds. But most parks in the area have it mixed in with the grass. So wait for that time when it's a little overgrown, when it's right before they might mow it. And again, look for places where the clover are kind of big. There's so much variability. I've had clovers that could sit on my pinky finger, and I've had clovers that are probably more than the size of my palm.
Oh my goodness.
The variability is absolutely wild. And so you want to look for those slightly bigger clovers and not the teensy tiny ones, because give yourself a better chance to spot them.
Yeah, and I mean, because you showed the image of the clovers that you have, and I was like, oh, those are some big old clovers. Like, you've got some little stingrays in there compared to what I think are kind of the little mini guys.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, for the record, the pages of clovers that I laminate, they actually go from about 20 per page for the big ones up to, I think the highest one I have on one page is 282 on one laminated sheet, because they're super teeny tiny ones. So
I love it.
Yeah, the group that got that one was not very happy with me. They had to count that one. They were like, "Hey," it's like, "Oh, you guys got the peak one. I'm sorry, there won't be any
Sorry,
more."
not sorry. Well, I've got to ask: do you think 4-leaf clovers are lucky, or are you lucky?
So, I don't think they're lucky. I see them more affiliated with hard work or with kind of a strange curiosity of nature. If they're lucky, maybe it just gets me to the next one. I do joke with my husband sometimes when something really nice, when something good happens, we go on an amazing vacation, or, something lovely happens in our lives. I was like, oh, the clover luck went to that. Oh, we found it. But I don't get to choose. I don't get to choose where it goes. It just applies to whatever part of my life. And I live a very good life, and I'm able to, go on vacations and spend time on my hobbies. And, I serve on the city council here in Fitchburg, which I love. And I just feel like I'm a very fortunate person. So I feel lucky.
Gabriella, this has been a total delight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
That's Gabriella Gerhardt, Guinness World Record holder and Fitchburg Alder. Thanks for sharing your secrets with us. That's all for today, here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, your host. If you enjoyed the show, want to share this episode with a lover of long walks, likely someone who stopped to smell the flowers. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, good luck clover hunting.